Hello, and welcome to Get There by Bike, where we talk about a wide variety of categories that have the bicycle as the running theme. Education, advocacy, recreation, transportation, art even, well-being. I'm Gail Ruscetta, your host, and I am so pleased to welcome Donny Green as our guest today. Donny Green is the Bicycle Program Director at the Woonasquatucket River Watershed Council. How do you like that? WRWC. Over the past 10 years, Donny has become, I would say, one of the leading bicycle educators in the state of Rhode Island, but Donny also runs a bunch of other programs, and I think Donny is the best person to tell you about them. So Donny, welcome. Thank you so much. It's great. It's great to have you here. I always like to ask our guests to give us just a little introduction about you personally, where you came from and how you ended up with the WRWC and cycling even.
It's kind of a journey in a sense that I now consider myself a full-time educator, and I utilize the bike for that. But that's not where I started, right? When I was younger, in my 20s, I was a musician. I went to school for music. Okay. Kind of found bikes again, and somehow they whittled their way in when I was leaving college, and began sort of really getting into it with, at that point in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, with the bike messenger scene still existed. I had a number of friends who did that. The crossover between punk rock and bikes in that world really came together, and it was interesting to me. I ended up at a certain point becoming a bike messenger for a number of years of my life. You do alley cats, which is point-to-point races that are like work sim or simulation in that world. They still sort of happen. But from there, a few friends, were like, you should try really bike racing. And somewhere in between there and doing some bike tours, and actually ended up being relatively good at racing my bike. I am now stuck with it forever.
Oh, that's great. That's so exciting.
Yeah, and to get to where I am at WRWC, I actually started another program with a teacher at a school in Providence called the Met, called 1PVD Cycling, which is a program that still exists, and I still sit on the board of and the board president of at this time, where we really work on finding kids who are, I always like to say, are bike interested, but don't have access to the sport and activity of cycling, and specifically off-road cycling, whether that's mountain bike or this strange fringe sport of cyclocross.
Cyclocross.
And
cyclocross, which is?
The worst definition would be smashing a mountain bike and a road bike together, and having it look like a road bike but with knobby tires, riding around a park that's taped off, which is a lapped race that's a mass start, and it goes for about 60 minutes if you're in an elite category, and the time frames obviously get shorter if you're a beginner.
That would be something to see.
Yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just ask YouTube. That is the best way to figure out what it looks like, because otherwise I'm doing a poor job. But it has a good history here in New England. But so I started that program with a teacher at the Met School, Ed Raff, and a few other folks. And we took that, and really we were just finding kids who didn't have access to that sort of bike sport. Most of that has to do with finances, but even just access. Because if you're not involved in the sport of cycling in the US,
how would you know?
You don't know, right? You can find an intramural soccer game or football game. It just has a culture. Here we don't have that, and so if your parents don't do it, you don't do it. And then it's also, cost prohibitive in the sense that a bike costs money, registration costs money, transportation costs money.
Sure.
And so we did that. And this kind of takes a while to get to, but then the next year, Woonasquatucket River Watershed Council was looking for a new program director for their bike camp. And Ed kind of threw me into that and said, you should try this. And so I was like, I've never worked with young children, but the year before I hadn't worked with high school students.
And you liked it?
And it seems like it goes well, yeah. And from there, I've been at the Woonasquatucket River Watershed Council for almost 10 years now. It started just as the bike camp program when I came on, which was 7 one-week camps. To now that we still run our summer camp program, which is 7 weeks, work with roughly 100 kids through that program. We run an April camp, specifically that we try to focus on girls who are learning how to ride for the first time. And because we found that in our neighborhood, there was a lot of folks, specifically girls, coming to our camp who didn't know how to ride. So we wanted to give another week of access for that. And then we have our Road to Bicycle Safety program, which is an in-school bike program for 5th graders, which we take around the state.
Road to Bicycle Safety, RHODE to Bicycle Safety. I have to say, you have made some videos, cycling videos that are so excellent, and I myself used them just yesterday in one of our local schools when I go into the classroom and do a bicycle safety presentation. Road to Bicycle Safety, they're excellent videos.
I'm glad they're still being used.
Yeah, that's the name of your in-school program.
Correct.
And so many students that you reach. How many per year?
So I was having to do numbers, right, because we're at the end of the year. This year, if we just do a calendar year with our schools, we did a little over 1,700 students between 27 schools around Rhode Island this year.
Donny, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of kids, 1,700 students.
I consider us, like I always joke around, say we're a traveling circus at that point, because we're a box truck and 40 bikes and that same amount of helmets, because every student who goes through our program also receives a helmet to keep.
Okay, so you're in a box truck.
We're in a box
You've got a fleet of bikes. How many bikes do you take with you?
Depending on the time, we're taking between 35 and 50 bikes. Usually it's in the middle there.
And they're sized for?
We have 3 different sizes, so we'll go 20-inch wheels, 24-inch wheels, and 26-inch wheels. All kids' bikes, but with gears and
with gears,
with
brake
handbrakes.
And
no
these are
back pedal brakes.
5th graders.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. We had to there's a number of reasons why I picked that grade, but we also had to pick a grade and stick with it so we could create the curriculum, and make it easy enough to offer and repeat where we're going. But I also think, personally, when I went into 6th grade, I started riding my bike to school. Yes, it was a different time, but that's still we're trying to look at kids who might be able to cover the content of learning rules of the road and how to ride safely, and be able to retain that properly and deliver that when they go out and ride, but also they might be getting the chance to get themselves around at this point and giving them another mode of transportation that they can access, and then hopefully they feel safe doing and confident, and maybe their parents do as well, since they've went through a program like ours.
Right. So essentially you are not only giving them bicycle skills, but you're giving them rules of the road, how to navigate traffic, how to make themselves be seen.
Exactly. All of those things, right? We're trying to be safe and confident riders is always what we're telling them, and predictable riders is our vocabulary words in class.
Yes. What does that mean, being predictable as a cyclist?
I mean, same thing I think as anyone else, but that's great. That's the question I ask all our kids, and really, the answer I'm looking to fish out of anyone is so people know what we're doing before we do it. Just like we're hoping that any road user does that same thing. We're talking about cars, we're talking about bikes. I'm talking about anyone who uses our shared roadways.
Yeah. So to let the motorists know that you're going to do something before you do it.
Yeah.
So they're prepared.
Which we would hope and expect from any driver too.
Blinkers in cars, but arms for cyclists.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. So turning right, just point to where you want to go.
Exactly.
Turning left.
You should come hang out at my class.
And stopping. Maybe I will come hang out at your class. Yeah, and the kids love it. Tell me.
Well, yeah, we're lucky. What teacher gets to walk in, then everyone kind of loves it, other than sort of us, because we're bringing bikes to school. Yeah. I don't even think it's fair sometimes, because we generally, yes, we also teach kids who learn how to ride, and so I would say some kids might feel a little nervous or apprehensive about us coming there the first time, but when we leave, generally speaking, almost all the time, it's 100% we love this program because we're riding bikes in school.
What's to not like about that? So I was going to ask you about children who have not yet learned to ride. Do you work with them?
Yeah, so we make sure that we can actually work with any student in 5th grade when we're there, and that even means, though at this point we're still borrowing bikes from a few places for adaptive bicycles when we need them, as long as the school tells us beforehand. But even our fleet of bikes, we have the majority of them, which we call them quick release pedals. And so if you've seen a smaller kid's Strider bike, we do the same thing with the bikes we have, because we can just pull the pedals right off without any tools. and they can use that to practice their balancing and then progress from there depending on how far we get in our 4 on-bike sessions.
Yeah, so essentially if anyone wants to learn how to ride, take the pedals off, get your feet on the ground and just start walking, and then maybe going a little faster and eventually raising up your feet a little and learning how to glide. And so balance bikes are really the way to go over training wheels, would you say?
Any day, any day. You know, at this point, I've taught hundreds and hundreds. I think I've got to be at like 500 kids at some point or another that I've taught how to ride their bike, considering I've been doing this for about 10 years. And I've never used training wheels for that, just because what we're trying to teach, right, is the balance. Like the real thing about riding a bike is staying up on 2 wheels, and then you have the momentum, and then the pedaling comes so much easier.
Yes, I have found the same to be true. So the kiddos that are in your April camp, do some of them then sign up for summer camp? Tell me about this summer camp and tell me about the Red Shed.
Yeah, so first answer is, a majority actually, I would say at this point, who go to our April camp end up signing up and joining one of the weeks during our summer camp. And so as you said, it takes place at our Red Shed, which is our camp facility, which is at Riverside Park in Olneyville and Providence, which is actually 2 container boxes painted red that has been turned into a bike shop and storage for equipment and camp facility with a stage connected on the back. From there, in that park, we also have a bike path that runs along it and goes from Providence.
That's so valuable.
Into Johnston.
Right, no traffic, they can get right on that bike path.
Yeah.
That's so great.
I mean, I think that's one of the kind of great parts about our camp, where we are like in a public park, which is great in a number of ways, and obviously there are a few things that are out of our control, but at the same time, our footprint for our camp is miles. And so like the experience that a lot of these kids get from our camp compared to most of the other summer camps that are happening in the city is so much different. One, because actually we're so much smaller, 15 kids a week. So everyone feels like they're more part of a team, where like you go to, the bigger sports camps, there's a lot more students and you can kind of disappear, but at the same time, they're traveling this vast space, right, that you don't get to do. And especially, at 8 to 13, they've probably never biked from one town to another.
So camp is for 8 to 13-year-olds, and anyone can sign up for camp. Oh, by the way, what's the cost?
So our standard cost for camp, for a week camp, is $300.
Okay.
We do run a really robust scholarship program where people would just apply. We have an application process, and then we approve on a rolling schedule starting next month, actually, January. And from there, that can reduce the price of our camp to basically $0.
Zero.
Yep.
So depending on need, you can go to camp free or you can pay what you can.
Correct.
That's great. That is great. And on your website, so it's the wrwc.org.
And and then you can just follow along to find information about bike camp, and registration should be going live the 2nd week of January 2026.
Mom and Dad, Grandma and Grandpa, you probably want to come to camp too. I would.
Yeah. They can sign up to volunteer.
They could sign up to volunteer. That's a great idea.
We have a graduation ride every Friday where we invite parents and friends of campers to come and ride with us, so they can see their kids graduate from camp.
So tell me, Donny, what is one thing that has stayed with you with working with youth and using the bicycle as a tool to broaden their world?
Yeah, one thing is hard, right? Because I work with kids at different age levels.
Okay, many things.
But I can give you a few of just when I'm thinking about it. So one of the things that you would assume is very rewarding is when you're working with a kid who struggled how to learn how to ride, and specifically if, say, they're at our camp and they don't really feel like they can participate in the same way that everyone else is, but when they then learn and then can join the rest of the crew and then go out with the rest of the camp after, just like making that connection.
Yeah.
But then also finding out there's a few students in general I can think of who have then really went forward and got their family on the bike, and now they go out and do it as a family. Really, that stands out to me. And also I work with high school students, and I've had a few students through that, through a number of my programs, who have went on to find sort of their voice with the bike in one way or another. Whether, We could think about some that are more athletically based for athletes who went on to do quite amazing things. And then some who have found, it's just how they can socialize. And then some who have actually found careers in the bike industry because like it resonated with them and they've been extremely successful with it. I feel like it's odd that the bike can do all those things, but I think that's also kept me engaged with it for so long now at this point. Is that it can be more than just one thing.
Yeah, it's incredibly rewarding. Yeah. Well, let's talk about some other program that you do. Have we talked about the PVD1?
So we haven't talked about 1PVD cycling.
One PVD.
We might have mentioned it at the beginning, but with that, it is a program for high school students to participate in the sport of off-road cycling. When I say that, again, it's mountain biking and cyclocross, which is a off-road discipline that I would just say, check out YouTube. Again, you know, if you don't know what it is, look it up. I'll do a horrible job explaining it. And again, it's there, and we're really focused on finding kids who don't have access to the sport, but may be interested in finding out what it's like.
And is there a team? Are they competing with other teams? How does that work?
Yeah, so we've run a team that just runs under 1PVD cycling, which is high school age based, that will go to events. We have our practices, you know, we kind of run like an intramural team or something like that. And we've been doing that now for 10 years. This was our 10th year as we're rolling through. And looking forward, we're actually looking to expand how we work in our community and try to get even more community input by joining in and up with another mountain bike league that is for youth. It's called NEYC, which is a regional youth cycling mountain bike league that happens, and the teams are based regionally. And right now there is no team actually located within the sort of urban core, if we'd like to call it, of Rhode Island. If we're thinking about Pawtucket and Cranston and Providence, and even if you go up to Lincoln, there's still no team that's affiliated there. And so we're looking to even connect more now with more families to create a regional team that we can then get involved, which is it's the largest growing sector as far as in cycling and like youth sports cycling, because they'll have thousands of families, or of people, but hundreds of families going to these events in the spring and participating, and we want to make sure that there's access to that for families that live within the region where we are, which is like Providence Metro and the surrounding area.
So this is kids getting on bikes, but they're not on the road. They're out in the hilly paths. Describe it.
I mean, that's a good point where like people are really concerned about getting kids on bikes for the first time in like dangerous road situations. As we know, driving situations out on the road have gotten more distracted, shall we say. So sports like mountain biking and cyclocross give a much more contained and safe space in that idea, where, you know, there's always going to be calculated risks or accepted risks in any sport, which being off-road and riding, you know, falls can happen. But the actual risk of more severe injuries on like that can happen on a roadway don't exist, and that usually it's where this grows so much with youth cycling, because it is a safer, we'll say, arena for kids to participate and learn the skills of riding. And so on this, right, like 4 races for cross could happen in any park. That's cyclocross again. Use shorthand a bunch there. And then for mountain biking, it's usually at, you know, parks and people, you practice at any place where there's mountain bike trails. If we think about Rhode Island, you know, you can think of general places. I'm very close to Big River in Providence, of course. And then we have Lincoln Woods that's around there. Diamond Hill, all these areas, Burlingame, right? Those are the kind of places where there's trails that folks are gonna ride. And those are also where teams can sort of be organized around.
Super fun.
It's the most fun,
Do you find, this is just a question that I have, do you find that getting kids out there connects them more with the natural world? Because right now, our students are, am I wrong? They're staying inside more, they're disassociated with outside and with nature. Do you think this gives them a way to reconnect, if you will, with the natural world?
First, I would say kids are, yes, but we all are, which is unfortunate. But I would definitely argue that just finding an activity that will get people outside is going to help start to change that sort of perspective on how you see the world and how you move through it.
Yeah.
And then that's going to be to each individual as far as what they take that for, because I can definitely attest to some of them, just like if it's competitive, they might never look around the trails and see where they are. Yeah. But then that's not always the case. Like very many times we've done a trip up to, just to like really extend it out for a number of kids who've never left Providence, we'll take a weekend trip up to Kingdom Trails in Vermont.
Wow.
And like,
that's huge for them.
That blows their mind. All right, just because if you haven't seen it, you don't know. And that's a different style of nature than even if we go to a small park in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And so that has definitely changed the perspective on a number of students once that choice has been made available to them.
Right.
Because I would say most of the time, I guess that's the other thing, I didn't even mean to push back, but a lot of times we say, oh, these kids, but I was like, we've made them. It's
yeah,
like,
it's true.
It's on us.
It is on us. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I just feel like the bicycle as a tool is one way to reconnect with or to move through nature. And I think, with our camps, and working with the kids, just anything that gets people outside can only be good.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else do you want to talk about, Donny?
Oh, something we didn't bring up with the in-school program, the Road to Bicycle Safety. We are in the beginning of actually creating another program for in-school that is going to be working with kindergartners. Oh. Which actually we're working with a program that's called All Kids Bike, which is a specific program to teach kindergartners how to ride and then transition them to pedaling. And we are very close to our goal of raising enough money to buy a fleet from All Kids Bike to then be able to offer that to, I would say, upwards to 3 or 4 schools a year in the wintertime when we can't actually do our 5th grade program, which needs to be outside.
Perfect.
But the balance bike program can actually happen inside gyms during PE times, which makes it easier for schools to work with.
Brilliant.
So that is hopefully going to launch this winter.
Oh, that's great.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We're about $1,500 short of the amount we need to purchase that fleet, but I'm hoping that by the end of this year, something is going to come through for us. And once we do that, we already have partner schools who we want to work with, who are right next to our bike path, where the Watershed is, that we can start teaching kids. And then the idea is then they can come ride on the bike path and along the river where the Watershed is.
Oh, how nice. That is such an amazing resource, the bike path there. And you got to take a lot of pictures because the cuteness factor is going to be over the top.
I know. I do also make the joke that I'm in the job sometimes of, babies and puppies, and we'll use that for what we can.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. Well, Donny, I would like to bring you back at some point so that we could talk more about your cyclocross riding and mountain bike riding, because I think a lot of people would be interested to know more about that.
Yeah,
if you wouldn't mind.
I'd be happy to. Obviously,
it'd be great.
I'm still the old man who
man
still races my bike as much as I can.
He has no right.
So I could definitely talk all day about bike races and different disciplines when given the chance.
Yeah. So tell me, in one little quick snippet, if you will, what has the bicycle done for you personally?
Unexpectedly, it's allowed me to eat and pay my bills, which is kind of wild. And I think that's wild. And so that's like the very tangible thing, right? Like, I've been a bike messenger to pay my rent, and somehow now I'm actually able to teach kids and share my love of bikes and be able to still pay my rent and eat. But it's also given me a job that I can care about, where I actually feel like I'm doing some good and giving back. And now at this point, giving and sharing the experience and the knowledge that I have from the amount of time that I've now spent in this bike world in one way or another. And without sounding too silly, I think that's pretty special. And usually say I could be doing much worse things, but I think I could put that a little better and say, like, I am very happy with what I'm doing and how I've gotten here, and be able to use the bike in a way that is hopefully giving back and helping other folks.
Oh, it's definitely helping lots of people, and thank you for the work that you do. And I'm so glad that you're out there doing that.
Thank you.
Donny, thank you for coming, and we'll see you again.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. Really,
You're so welcome. Thank you. That's it for this Get There by Bike show, and tune in next time when we'll talk about other things, but all things bicycle. This is Gail Ruscetta. Thank you for watching.
Hi, we're from Aquidneck Island Adult Learning Center in Newport, Rhode Island. We're looking for students and volunteers for our many classes, including GED, English as a Second Language, nursing assistant, phlebotomist, med tech, medical technician, apprenticeships, computer skills, and lots more.
Please contact us if you'd like more information. Thank you.
Lucy's Hearth is a family shelter in Middletown, Rhode Island. We provide a continuum of housing supports for families experiencing homelessness across Rhode Island. If you are looking for ways to help, please visit our website at lucyshearth.org.
The Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center is located in Newport, Rhode Island. Our mission is to nourish, educate, and support Newport County residents to improve their social, economic, and physical well-being. For more information, please visit our website at mlkccenter.org. We'd love you to come volunteer, or if you need help, please turn to us and we'll be there to support you.
Infinite expectation, a face, a flicker, a thought you forgot, where psychology drips into dream, where the mirror doesn't wait for you to look. It's not a show, it's a signal on Channel 18 and statewide, every day for your entire life. You won't know what you're watching until it's watching you. Infinite expectation.
Hello, I'm Jerry LePage, host of Senior Soundings. I invite you to join us for our next episode of Senior Soundings. We offer information and important, interesting guests, so please tune us in. I look forward to seeing you.